Yeah, once we got on board, we didn't see a lot of erratic driving like we're seeing now. It just so in the last couple of minutes, we've seen the vehicle going into and out of lanes because they're traveling about the speed limit with traffic and appeared to stay in their lane. Now that they've really slowed down, in front of them there is no traffic, and we're seeing some very erratic driving on the part. Not traveling at a high rate of speed, but certainly swerving back and forth. We're on the 110 southbound in South LA. I think we're coming up on Slauson here. And I'm not certain exactly what the CHP is going to do in a situation like this. If the vehicle goes slow enough and there's no traffic in front of that vehicle, they don't have to worry about the traffic behind. They could try a pit maneuver, but it's going to be difficult for us to shoot this. You're going to see the shot get a little gray. And we have to push it from a distance because we're pushed down inside what they call the Bravo airspace. That's where all the aircrafts going into LAX fly above, and then there's separation issues between us, the LAPD, and of course the aircrafts going into Los Angeles International.
Yeah, and this
now real slow. This could stop here.
Very slow. And this is almost to the 105. Is that right? Are we
not quite?
Not
I'd say about
okay.
Yeah, you know, we're coming up. I believe maybe that's Slauson up ahead.
Yeah,
Slauson. Okay, so at this point in time, these things get a little sketchy, and this is where you really worry about a pursuit termination like this, and the police worry about it as well. And there you go, they took off. So, or did they? Yeah, there they go, they came out. So we're almost to Slauson, obviously working with, dealing with someone here that really has no idea what they want to do in this situation. Oh boy, there's a spike strip, and this will probably be over soon. It looks like they got it. CHP got it out in time, so these tires are going to go flat. And the vehicle at some point in time won't be able to continue.
That was good timing.
You see the left rear is already flat. It looks like that was a great shot. It probably got more than one tire. And at this point in time, if the vehicle travels at too high a rate of speed, then you could see an accident. But more than likely, they'll really start to slow down because they're just going to lose control of the car here at some point. Fortunately, all the traffic is held back to the north on the southbound 110, and we don't see that this is really endangering anyone at this time.
Well, you also saw a traffic break. They were really trying to keep most of the traffic back, but the people in the carpool lane were able to get by. And then that's when the driver almost went into the carpool lane. So it is going to be a real problem for people who are trying to commute on the southbound 110 if they're not in the carpool lane. But you can see even there on the left, they're still kind of moving along there on the left, or are the authorities now there as well?
What they did, Philip, is they ran a traffic break, sort of a small one, so that when they threw the spike strip out, you saw the officer run. They were able to stop all traffic so they didn't run over the spike strip. And so traffic is slow on the 110 southbound closer to the downtown Los Angeles areas. It shifts back.
But now he's in the carpool lane.
Traffic through. Now in the carpool lane.
So that's
southbound, there's traffic backed up behind this, but they're not going to let anybody get up to that vehicle. They're going to make sure nobody gets that far. It was completely stopped for a moment. Now the freeway is doing about 17 miles an hour, as you can see, or the traffic. I think our angle is such, we're not going to get a really good, accurate, real-time speed tracker there because we're shooting from such a far distance and pushing the shot. But certainly you can see what they're doing with traffic on the 110 South, so it will be affected, as you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is possibly the best case scenario. For the commute, if this person stays over in the carpool lane, instead of coming back over to the main area, once they secure him and take him into custody, they'll be able to let traffic go. But now, he just continues to gum up the whole thing.
Correct. But, you know, CHP, if this turns out that they get him into custody very quickly, they're really good about that. They'll just get the vehicle behind it with a bar, and they'll push him to the shoulder. They're really conscientious about trying to get traffic moving. Obviously, if this doesn't end peacefully, that's a whole different story. Traffic will be snarled up for hours if they have to do some type of investigation. We'll just have to see. You know, we saw a moment of doubt there just a few moments ago. The vehicle decided to stop and then took off once again. But at this point in time, they're not going to be able to continue too much further. Well, I shouldn't say that, because sometimes at this slow rate of speed, you don't get the damage to the rims and the tires that you, or to the rims that you normally would at a higher speed, and it could go on for a while. But hopefully, you know, this individual, if there's just a man on board, we thought it was a man, will come to their senses and realize they're not getting away and just give up here, and then they can clear the freeway.
Yeah. And so for those of you just joining us, this started in Burbank. But Scott, do you know when this slow speed pursuit started?
I would say it was about, 30, 35 minutes ago, maybe 40, somewhere in that range. Because the time we picked it up, it was on the 101 or the 170 South or on the Ventura, right in that area. We started to hear the calls. And we believe it started in Burbank with Burbank PD, so it was more than likely initially on the surface streets. They switched it off to CHP, or LAPD picked it up, I guess, with their helicopter, and then they converted it over, or gave it over to CHP. Open up out of the shot a little bit. It's kind of an interesting perspective here. So all the vehicles now on the bottom of your screen, that's the 110 southbound. CHP is not letting anybody go by, so they're running a traffic brake there. And as we open up a little bit to the north, you see there's no traffic whatsoever. You'll see the PD helicopter on the top of your screen there, I think, for a moment in an orbit. And you can see they're probably going to shut down some of the on-ramps to the 110 southbound as well. So hopefully for traffic's sake, this will be over sometime soon. It looks like we may have seen the arm back out again.
Oh, they just lost a piece
flying off the vehicle.
The tire. Yeah, we certainly hope that they can stop. But it's just interesting. This is a very different pursuit from some of the others we've seen. We believe that this person may be under the influence of something, but also perhaps in distress. We just don't know. I want to give the driver the benefit of the doubt. I mean, although you would think that they would have stopped by now.
You would think. The hazard lights are on, which is a little unusual. We saw that initially. I'm not sure if they're still on. It's hard to see in the shot, but you could tell that he's losing control of the vehicle there, where the two left tires have popped, and they'll be on the rim pretty soon. And, you know, it's just really tough to tell. Right now, what's good about this pursuit, if anything can be good about a pursuit, is the fact that it's really not endangering anybody. It doesn't appear that anyone will get hurt.
Just saw some sparks there.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It came off the right side. Maybe there's a lot going on that.
Well, you can see
you
may not be able to see it from your monitor, but that tire on the front, it's almost completely off. Clearly you can see the back rear tire is flat, but it's still, the rubber is still on the wheel. The front tire, it's almost moving back and forth. So, but it's going to heat up pretty quickly.
You know, yeah, it almost looked like a pop came out to me on the right side. I figured it'd be on the left side.
There was.
But with the two left tires flat, yeah, you could tell it's going to be on the rim pretty soon. And now limping off to the shoulder here, it looks like coming up, I believe Manchester might be the next off-ramp, or we just crossed that. And off to the right shoulder, this would be the best case scenario. But they're not going to open the freeway here until they have this suspect into custody, because they really have no idea. Yeah, exactly. That vehicle stalled out, blocked them in. And you see all the patrol cars behind him. So it gets dicey right here. They don't know if this individual's armed. And things can turn ugly very quickly if the suspect does not comply and makes sudden moves. So be very careful, Chad, when the door opens on this vehicle. But hopefully for traffic's sake, and you know, we don't know, there might be another person on board that vehicle. We just don't know for sure. But hopefully, you know, be able to get this individual into custody without incident, open the freeway back up.
Yeah, and it seems the Kia is close enough to that parked car, the Mercedes, that it won't be able to drive off again without hitting it. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's pretty close.
Worst case scenario, though, the Kia backs up.
That's true.
Police do not like it when the vehicle's coming at them, and we've seen vehicles get shot at when they do that. So at this point in time, you know, CHP is just trying to do everything they can do to try and get this individual out of the vehicle without incident, okay? Because it's a tough situation. You know, they don't know who's in that vehicle. They don't know if that individual's armed. And with that, you know, they have to protect themselves and the public, and this is just a situation. It can be very dicey. You know, unfortunately, sometimes these standoffs go on for hours, and that would be horrible if that happens here on the 110 freeway, because all lanes are still shut down on the 110 freeway. I believe this is right before Century, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and one thing
no traffic's getting by.
One thing to think about with that, Scott, depending on how long this goes, people who are watching this need to be aware, take a different route to the airport.
Yes.
Because if you have to go to the airport and you normally take the 110, do not do that right now. Go navigate around it, go to the 405, go a different route, but do not end up on the 110, because this can play out for a very long time. There have been times this is, you know, a long-playing incident.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the 110 freeway, you know, to the west, you've got Figueroa, and to the east, you got Broadway. They're major north-south thoroughfares, and they're going to be much better than the freeway. There's no question about that. You don't want to get on the freeway at all.
Absolutely.
But we do have a couple of alternate surface streets that work pretty good when this happens, both Figueroa and Broadway. But yeah, this could go on for a long time. We understand they're trying to talk to them on the PA. They're trying to get them to come out of the vehicle. But if they don't, then it's hard to say exactly how they'll handle this. Sometimes we see them walk up and you know, break a window and throw in tear gas or a gas canister. It's just hard to say how it would play out.
Yeah.
You can see the officer in the white vehicle there to the left. He's got the, looks like he's got the bullhorn there. That's what was that Dodge Charger, one of the.
Yep.
You don't usually want to see one of those in your rearview mirror.
Oh wow,
but,
he just pulled his arm.
Yeah, and you don't notice them till the last minute.
Exactly.
And they do have their
Chad,
weapons
give me
drawn.
Yeah, of course they do. They don't know if the suspect's armed.
Yeah.
Give me a wide shot. I just want to give the folks an idea why you don't want to get on the 110. Now, it's affecting the 110 northbound as well because people are starting to see all the activity southbound, and it's human nature. You know, you can't not look for the most part. But southbound 110, forget about it. You know, bring up SkyMap 7. On the left side of your screen is Broadway, and on the right side of your screen is Figueroa. Now take SkyMap 7 off, and you'll see those streets. And you can see the traffic's not a factor on Broadway or on Figueroa. So you can get around this if you get off the freeway, but if you get on the freeway too far south, you're stuck.
Right.
There's no off-ramp here.
And unfortunately, the people on the freeway have no recourse at this point.
None.
Well, but it's also important to note this kind of congestion will take a while to clear even after this incident is cleared. So, again, if you need to use the 110, and we were talking about the airport, if that is, you know, what is on your agenda for this afternoon, it might be best just to plan from the beginning to go a different direction.
Sure. No, there's no question. That'd be the best way to go right now. And if you know somebody who's driving this, you know, a loved one or a friend that drives the 110, you know, reach out to them just in case they haven't heard about this so they can save a little time, because we all know how frustrating this is. I got stuck on the Ventura Freeway this morning with all lanes blocked and came in a little late. You know how frustrating that is.
Yeah.
But people now just standing in their vehicles, everybody with a phone taking pictures.
Yes, we see that.
Let's stay on the vehicle. Let's go back to the vehicle. I just want to see if the individual does come out. But now we just have a standoff, and, you know, CHP is going to do everything in their power to get this to end peacefully. Trust me, the last thing they want is to have an incident here. But at this point in time, it's pretty much up to the driver whether or not they're going to get out. Now, the CHP also has a lot more information than we have. You know, they're able to run that plate. If it's not stolen, they know who it's registered to. They can maybe reach out to the registered owner, find out if that is the registered owner. Start running some checks that way. If it turns out they have someone in the family with mental illness, they can find out about that. Now, here
they're taking an aggressive tact here.
Yeah,
this is they're not waiting. They're actually going to.
Yeah.
They must know something about how this is, what's happening inside the vehicle, Scott.
I agree. When you see them move in without a lot of preparation like this, it leads me to believe also, as you do, Philip, more than likely they've got some inside information. Maybe they've talked to someone who knows this individual, and because of that, you know, they don't feel like they're pulling up to a, you know, 3-time felon that might have an automatic weapon. It seems like they might know something. I agree with you.
And if they have had a chance to talk to him, you know, or her, there is the possibility that they might have. Correct. They might know whether, as Giovanna mentioned, the person is under distress or possibly under the influence of something. But now they have approached the windows very aggressively in comparison to, when I say aggressively, I mean without the typical protections sometimes we'll see, but they're trying to break a window, it looks like, and get this person out.
Yeah, they're putting their guns away, so obviously they're seeing something.
I agree. I think they know a lot more than we do. They can see now how many people are on board. I think we can push in a little bit. We're always hesitant to push in too much because if it ends in a gun battle, we just don't want to show that.
Oh, wow.
And,
they're breaking the window.
They're going to break that back window. Yeah, I don't know if they have a gas canister and they're going to throw that in, or they just want to open up that back door, or even the driver's side door.
Looks like they're opening the passenger side.
This could be a, not to speak too soon, but this could be a rescue operation. You know what I'm saying?
It's possible somebody's you know, been kidnapped in that back seat. We don't know. There may
or
be
the
more
person could have harmed themselves. I mean, at this point, we don't know anything other than it does seem as if they are trying to get into the vehicle, and it doesn't appear as if they're worried about their own safety.
They're trying to get
now we're just maybe this person has moved into the passenger side seat, and they are just going
to get this over with.
Yep, they're pulling the person out.
It looks like they felt it was easier to take
it's a woman.
to take them out.
Wow.
Yeah, boy, that's sad. I hate
well.
to see this. You know, obviously she does not look well. Yeah, as you mentioned, Giovanna, it appears that they're not well. So, I mean, mental health issues could be at play here, and I hate to see this. This, once again, is on the 110 southbound before you get to Century in South Los Angeles. All lanes of the Harbor southbound have been blocked. Pursuit went on for maybe 30, 40 minutes out of Burbank onto the 101 freeway and then ended here. CHP will clear this very quickly, though, from past experiences that I've seen. They'll do a really good job of making sure traffic gets moving. They know how frustrating it is. But the incident is over. It looks like they're going to get this individual the medical attention they need. I'm sure an ambulance has been called.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're right. The good thing is no one's been hurt, and they cleared it very quickly, or they're at least.
They will.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
So now the person will be taken into custody. You could almost, it was almost, the officer was almost trying to calm the person with the hand on the back once the cuffs were on, and they had this person out of the vehicle. So now they'll just transport that person into a vehicle, and as you mentioned, Scott, move on and get things on the way. So again, we still do not know what this was, but Giovanna, I think you might have made a very good point that the person is just in distress. It could be for any number of reasons, but we are going to wrap this up. But CHP has now taken a person into custody after a chase that began in Burbank, slow speed chase on the 110 freeway. Scott Wright, thank you very much. He's in Air 7 HD, and we'll continue to take a look at this. And as they open the freeway and get things back to normal, we will, of course, let you know when that happens.